Random thoughts. There is a video that I did, and turns out I used a line that kind of like did not go well with a few people, because I've received, I think, 3 or 4 comments and messages asking me what I meant with that line. And I thought maybe I should do a video and react to that, because maybe leaving it and not reacting to it, of course, might not, of course, some people might feel a certain way and people might misunderstand my use of words. Now, the line I used is the land occupied by the Somalis. And to be honest, I didn't realize that I had used that line. It's not something I did consciously, it's just a line that I used. And I've used a similar line, now looking back, many times. And it's not just about the Somalis, it's a line that I use when talking about land that some types of people live on. And there is a reason why I use that line. And this is something I thought about after seeing those comments. And I was asking myself, why do I keep using that line? And I use that line because I realized after thinking about it for some time is because of the kind of history that I enjoy reading. And I read a lot of history. And often the history I read is history that goes back thousands of years. And if we are going to talk, for example, of history that goes back maybe 2,000 years or 3,000 years, then you realize that when it comes to people owning land, is basically temporary. And I know some people might be like, what do you mean temporary? I mean temporary because humans have moved a lot. They've always moved. Humans always move. And even where we stay today in 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 years, I would say that we are likely to have moved for some reasons, for whatever reasons. Now, when it comes to the land where the Somali people live, and I'm very careful in how I'm saying that because this is a video about it, there has never been a dispute as to whether that land belongs to them. There has never been a dispute. And I know some people are going to say, but what about Ogaden? What about the northern Kenya? What about, all these places? Actually, there has never been a dispute as far as the people on the land, Somalis, that this is their land. That has never been a dispute. Of course, we will never lack the small issues here and there of different people when they are bordering one another. There will be issues about the border, but far and large, there has never been a dispute. Now, there has been a dispute as to where that land that the Somali people live on belong to in terms of the state, the countries that has been there. Because we need to realize one thing, and this is a fact that all of us know, that the boundaries we have today, the nations that we have, the states that we have today, maybe the better word to use in that regard is the states. The states we have today in Africa, these are very recent creations. They are very recent creation. Most of them are not older than 100 years. They are very recent, actually. And in history, 100 years is a very short time. It's a very short time. Now, because they are very recent creation, and number two, these borders were not created by Africans themselves. Of course, they were created by Europeans. And when the Europeans were creating these borders, as much as they tried to consider the people, because initially I used to be like, they did not consider at all the people. But one Daniel Karanja I think he showed me some documents and he was telling me, actually, the Europeans tried to consider the people, but of course, there were other considerations beside the people. Now, the point I'm trying to make is that when these borders or lines were drawn on the land, very many people found themselves in different countries, like the Maasai, they are in Kenya and Tanzania. The Teso people are in Kenya and Uganda. Of course, the Somali are in Kenya and they are also in Somalia. So this is a phenomenon, and it's not just East Africa, it's a phenomenon all over the place. Now, going back to my point. So the point is, there has never been a dispute about whether the land that the Somalis live on is their land. There is no such dispute. As I've said, we can never miss the smaller disputes here and there, but by and large, there is no dispute about that. The only dispute that has been there is where that land is going to be considered to be. Is it going to be considered to be part of Kenya, or is it going to be considered to be part of Ethiopia, or is it going to be considered to be part of Somaliland? Is it going to be considered to be Djibouti? Those are the only dispute that have existed, and most of us know about those histories. So when I say the land occupied by the Somalis, I do not mean they occupied it as you might interpret it to mean that it's not their land. They came and took it. That's not what I meant. I meant the land they live on. Maybe a better way to phrase it is the land of the Somalis. So yeah, so for those who have been asking me, I think like 4 people have actually asked me about the use of that line. I don't use it cautiously, and yeah, it's a line that I use for all the people, not just the Somalis. So for all the people, and it comes from my appreciation of history and that humans always move. So today people are occupying this piece of land. Tomorrow they are not occupying it, they occupy a different piece of land. That has happened throughout human history, and I'm not thinking it's going to stop. It's going to continue. That's how it is with humans and the land they use. So yeah, so maybe I should have said the land of the Somalis. Those are my random thoughts.